What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of The Nick Moore Show. It's me, Nick Moore, The Nick Moore Show podcast. We're back. Episode 8. I can't believe it. We've made it this far. It's my first episode of October, and it's already over. I almost missed it, but you don't want to miss this episode because I got a lot on my mind that I want to ramble about today. Specifically, I've been thinking a lot about enlightenment, ego, the soul, awareness, consciousness, the universe, a lot of grand big topics, I guess. It's kind of fascinating, I guess, to think about. I've always been interested in spirituality, I guess. It's such a co-opted word. A lot of people take that word, and there's a lot of con artists, I guess. There's a lot of shysters, who, under the guise of spirituality, I don't know, look throughout history, people have justified doing bad things, with whatever logic or whatever, right? Spirituality is an important word, though, and it's good. Take back the word spirituality from a bunch of, I don't know. What was I going to say? From a bunch of people that, from con artists? I don't know. Some people, what am I trying to say? I don't even know. Spirituality. It's got me in a tizzy already. Yeah, so will reality as well. Basically, I've gotten to the point in my spiritual journey, my life journey, I've gotten to a point, I guess, where it's like I don't know, I recognize what the ego is in a sense, and I guess the idea, one of the big ideas coming from enlightenment is this idea of interconnectedness with everything, and this idea that we are all one, and that's kind of, it's like you can say that and then be like, well, what does that even mean? What do you mean if you say we are all one? We're all alive, we're all human, we're all in this together, Rick Rubin, I got his book right there. He has a good saying, or he said something I liked, which is that we are all creative expressions of the universe. We're all a part of the universe. We are all the universe. We're all fundamentally made up of the same stuff. And I'm not saying like human beings, our bodies are anatomically similar, obviously. I mean more on like a physics level, like a material level, like, we're all made up of atoms and carbon, we're carbon-based life forms or whatever, but everything in the universe at a fundamental level is made up of like the same stuff and atoms or whatever. Like that's science, and that's why I got my computer here so I can fact check that. Just be like, everything is atoms, right? Oh, matter is made up of atoms, yes, and the universe, well, here we go. And then it's like the universe is made up of, just go to the universe, it's like dark matter, antimatter, which is also that's also the craziest part, is that what are we? Yes, okay, here we go. Organic matter, that's us, 4.9% of the universe. Dark matter, 26% of the universe, so a quarter. And then dark energy, majority of the universe, 68.3%. Almost 69, bro. Almost 69% of the universe. Wow. And I like, this is where I need a real physicist to come on here. I need Albert Einstein to explain all this to me. Albert Einstein also had a really, let me just make sure I get it correct. Everything in life is vibration. Albert Einstein. So that's another. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. It's going to be a lot of pauses in this episode as my brain tries to compartmentalize everything that I'm trying to talk about here. If you're actually listening to this, I think you'll appreciate that I'm dealing with heavier topics and it's not just going to be boom, 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 rapid fire. The real industry people are going to hate this episode. There's going to be a lot of dead air. So that's just, here we go. This is good. Sometimes my ego feels the need to just blab on because, the industry is like, you can't have no dead air. But the podcast this is the format where it's like industry smindustry, We don't do that here, man. This is the Nick Moore Show. I was talking about the universe. I was talking about vibrations. Everything in the universe is vibration. Everything in life is vibration. Albert Einstein. Where did he say this? Now I'm questioning everything. Now I'm questioning. Come on, Google. Yes, okay, that is an Albert Einstein quote. He was a lot smarter than me. All right. I've always had an affinity though for people who I don't know, I guess are trying to really get to the fundamental truth of reality, whatever that is. It's very funny. I've always trying to think about myself. I've always been looking for the truth, I guess, in a sense. I don't know. I feel like when I was young, you're very culturally conditioned. I don't know, as you're a child, you get a lot of input from your family, parents, guardians, whatever, culture, society. And American mainstream culture is so powerful. It transcends our country. It also, on a global scale in the English-speaking world, but again, it also, American culture transcends language, too. Just to say that American culture is extremely powerful and it's very good. Our society is designed to make you think a certain way, in my opinion. And it's supposed to get you caught up in your ego and caught up in, how am I going to succeed? It's not a very enlightened, I don't know, I guess the concept of enlightenment is, seeing through the ego and seeing separateness with other entities and things as an illusion, or a Maya, as it's called in Hinduism. Bringing this back to the point I was originally making, because of my cultural conditioning, I believed that. I believed that like it was all the truth. You know, I believed the politicians on TV, I guess, or whatever. Then you get a little older and you start to, you either ask questions about things, you either see, I don't know. For me personally, it was just more of like the reality that I was being told was reality, and the things that I saw, I was like, this doesn't add up. We get a lot of we're number one, America's number one, we're the greatest, we're the best, you know. Um, and I love America. I do think this country really, being truly objective about the United States, I think there's some things that this country absolutely gets right 100%, and the founding fathers were visionary in some of their ideas, not all of them. I mean, the First Amendment, that is how this is possible. And because of the freedom of expression and thought, that's in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why American culture is so powerful, because people are free. There's no one telling anyone to, you know, think or behave a certain way. Those pressures are more, they come from society. Society, you know, tells you to behave or think a certain way. But I guess in the sense of like questioning the government, you know, it's like people can protest the government here. You know, you can't protest the government in North Korea. You know, that's another great like dorky stat thing that I love to do. It's look up. Sometimes it's like the freedom or democracy index. I don't know what their categories, like how they sort it or whatever. The authoritarian governments. Whatever, it's not popping up for me right now, but it's a good breakdown of, you know, how free democracies are. And you'd be surprised, you know, maybe you'd be surprised, maybe you wouldn't, on, you know, where the United States falls on that list. Obviously, I don't have it in front of me, but I think from memory we're like middle of the pack with like Europe, kind of. I wish I could. I know the Scandinavian countries, I think, like are near the top of the list for like most democratic, least. I think how it's categorized is like how much political corruption is in your government, you know, how hard is it for people to vote, I guess. I mean, in some countries, I mean, in America, you have to register. In some countries, I believe it's like you're already registered. In some countries, I think Australia, it's like illegal to not vote, which I'm not in favor of that. I think that's dumb. It's anti-freedom, obviously. But I mean, obviously they're all registered because I don't know how the hell it works in Australia. I just know that I think they make you vote. Compulsory voting. Oh, Australia popped up. Australia, okay, so it's Australia, North Korea, the Congo, and then Brazil, Argentina, Chile. Wow. Okay, so it's more countries than I would have assumed. Australia gets the big rep for it. Wow, Spain and Portugal used to have it. Interesting. Mandatory voting. Anyway, back to the universe. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. I usually do. Just go off in random directions. Nice. Splash some water on my face. Back to the universe. The Big Bang Theory. The universe is 14 billion years old, or whatever. 13.77. Back to the universe and the ego, though, and consciousness and all this, all of that. It's very interesting to, I guess, grapple with what if you have that knowledge, I guess, or if that's how you perceive the world, what do you do with it? How do you act? It's very, I guess really what I'm trying to say is a lot of people get American culture, American society, just society in general, wants you to get caught up in your ego. It wants you to be attached to the self and you. And it's very, just recognizing that in other people. I don't know, recognizing that in yourself, recognizing that in others, seeing when they're caught up in their ego. It's very, I guess that's why some people refer to enlightenment as like an awakening, because it's like you see, I don't know, it's very, you just see that people are caught up in the cycles of themselves or whatever, which I mean, I was for most of my life. And, once you begin to realize, what the nature of ego, consciousness in the universe or whatever, then I really feel like life more becomes like a balance of, managing the ego, but not letting it, be too dominant, but still being in touch with who you are and what you're supposed to do. There's another good quote from Gandhi, "My life is my message." And that is kind of, when you begin to see your deep thinking time. My life is my message. When you kind of, I don't know, when you give yourself up to this idea that you're a part of something bigger and your life isn't just solely, for you, it can feel like an awakening, I guess. I don't know. It can feel the same but different, I guess, because inherently nothing external changes. I mean, the world is always changing and evolving, but I guess nothing with you inherently externally changes. But yeah, I don't know. It's I guess it's fascinating to like separate you from yourself, I guess, and look at yourself from a third person point of view, I guess. Yeah, I mean, the ego. I'm at a loss for words, I guess. I really am. I can't think of anything smart to say. I've run out of smart things to say about the ego and enlightenment and the universe. I guess just Well, here's something I like, if everything's an illusion, right? If everything is fake or made up, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of everything was an idea once, I guess, right? So, in that sense, it's like, other than the fundamental elements of the universe, I guess like energy, right? Nothing else existed before. So all of the, everything that's been created was once just an idea or a thought or whatever. But even thoughts, are energy and exist. Reality, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't know, reality is just a big, again, reality is an illusion. And reality is supposed to keep you in your ego, I guess, in a sense. But it's, I don't know. It's not, I guess you can start to poke holes in reality easier than you might think. Like, well, my favorite is time. I love time. What is time? Like, I just think about that constantly. Just what is time? Today is October 25th, 2024. But what does that mean? It means it's today. It means it's right now. Or that is today, at least. But again, like I said, it's not like October, exists in nature. It's a human idea. It's an idea we made up. Just like, 1 o'clock or whatever. Now there are days and nights, and there's evidence of cycles in the universe. Like, that's what, there's a day and a night cycle, and also opposites, cycles and opposites. You can't have day without night. But with time, time is relative, and it doesn't exist. George Carlin has a great routine about time, and his whole point is that it's vague, it's imprecise, it's not perfect. We have a leap day or whatever. Like, that's how perfect we have the system down or whatever. That's one of the things he says. Time is a useful tool, and you can think it's real, but it's not. And if you go just operating from that, okay, saying there is no time, like, if that's the case, then there's only the present moment, and then the past and future, again, is an illusion. Like, it doesn't exist. Or it all exists at once. I guess, so many spiritual teachers, or, just people in general will say, stay present. And I guess that's kind of I don't know, there's evidence to all of these things, like, just kind of like obviously in front of us. And then, people have lives. People are busy. They they have shit to do. They're caught up in their ego. I mean, that was one of the craziest things for me, is just realizing like, oh, all of this is right in front of me. I've just been oblivious to it, I guess, in a sense. But yeah, time. Time is one that I just keep going back to. Just time. What is time? This is the Wikipedia definition. The sequence of existence and events that occurs in an apparently irreversible succession from the past through the present into the future. But again, these ideas of past, present, and future, there really is only a present moment now. Like the future and past are ideas. And then it's like this idea of time travel, right? And, it's been theorized, right, that if you, I don't know, whatever it is, it's like there's been a couple different, whatever the word I'm trying to think of, or whatever theories or concepts about this is. But it's like you get on a spaceship or whatever, you leave Earth, and then you're traveling you can, whatever. You don't need my terrible explanation. But basically it's been theorized that you can time travel forward by traveling at an incredible, like at the speed of light, or faster than the speed of, you can't go faster than the speed of light, I don't think, because that's the speed that information travels or whatever. But basically, in layman's terms, you just go very, very fast, and then if you come back, the time that you will experience on the spaceship will be, oh, this is I feel so stupid right now. Time on Earth will pass the same for, what the hell am I trying to say? Time for you is relatively the same, but for people on Earth, it you see, again, this is what time does to me. Or just my dumb brain. Basically, you can travel forward in time, somehow, hypothetically, by going very fast. And time will feel like it's not passing quickly for you, but on Earth, or wherever you come from, we live on the planet Earth, it will be traveling a lot faster. So you can travel forward in time, but you cannot go backwards, hypothetically. But again, that's also, it's like, that's, things start to get, it's like things get really interesting when you're dealing with time or whatever. Things get really, it's like, separate timelines and, different universes or whatever, different realities or dimensions. Time is undefeated. That's all I know. Even though it's not real, and it's just a way we measure events and reality or whatnot. It's like you think aging is evidence of time, but really aging is just like your body fighting gravity and whatever abuse we put it through or whatever. I need someone a lot smarter than me to explain time and physics and all of this to me or whatever. But as a casual fan of reality in the universe or whatever, I just love trying to put my feeble brain to the task of, thinking about these concepts or ideas or whatever. And then law of attraction. If this is something you're interested in, there you go. I'm interested in it too. So maybe I'll find some like-minded physicists or whatever out there who want to listen to me ramble about this. But yeah, some fundamental truths about the universe. well, getting into some less heavy spiritual universe talk, even if time isn't real, it's still good to, vibrations are real. And everything in life is vibration, Albert Einstein. So these concepts of positive or negative vibrations or actions or thoughts, really all positive, it's short wave or long wave vibrations. A good metaphor is like TikTok, right? Or this, this is this isn't, to say I'm whatever, a podcast is a lot longer. It takes a lot more time, energy, effort, whatever, to put into it. Not saying that inherently makes it better or whatever, it makes it worse or whatnot. It's just a different format. I guess kind of, though, I was just saying in the context of positive and negative, I guess. I mean, nothing is so cut and dry like that. It's not there's more nuance to reality, than just this or that. What the hell was I just saying? Basically, I don't even know. It's gone. That thought's gone. Maybe it'll come back to me. Vibrations. That's what I was talking about. Vibrations. I don't know. All right. To simplify it, long form, short form content. I don't know. Quick bites or whatever on your phone or whatever. Compare that to like a TED Talk or whatever, an hour-long seminar or whatever. Someone actually dropping knowledge bombs or whatever. Not this right now. We're just having a good time. We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out. This is how I'm marking time. This is my time capsule, if you will. That's how I'm going to be marking time. How, relative to the last episode of the Nick Moore Show, what sequence of events have transpired or whatever. But yes, vibrations. Certain I guess it's, I don't know, there can be, again, it's like, you don't want all one thing. You need a little bit of both, to balance out life. You can't have good without bad. You can't have light without dark or whatever. There's all these opposites. And then if there was only, the paradox of all that is, it's like, if there was only good, if there was no evil, then would good even exist? Because then that's all there is. There would be, you would have nothing to compare it to or base it off of or whatever. So I'm not, and all that stuff is, you decide what type of content or whatever you want to consume or whatever. But I don't know. Yes, just this idea of like, I don't know, higher vibrational states or whatever, or more like, I don't know, in my mind, I kind of think of it as like big, long wave vibration as opposed to like short wave vibrations. But I mean, meditation, quieting the mind, just breathing exercises. That's a great way to, increase your vibrational state or, quiet the mind, just help yourself, relax or whatever. It's like we have all these words and language, like, calm, relax or whatever. And it's like those words they're trying to express, in my opinion, like they're evidence of those concepts or whatever, I guess. And then it's, you have, your higher vibrational states of being, emotions, love, happiness, connection, joy, and then the contrast, sadness, depression, anger. But again, you can't have one without the other. And they're all interconnected. Again, the yin and the yang. Another good, great, just simple, but it says a lot about, the interconnectedness of everything and opposites and cycles and whatnot. The Tao, the way of the universe. Here we go. That's another good segue. Just being in flow with the universe, going with the current of the universe, not fighting the universe, just moving with the groove. And when I say that, I don't mean, if you feel like things are going badly or you're getting caught up in negative cycles, don't succumb to that. I guess really try not to force things into existence, I guess, in a way. If you have goals or aspirations or whatnot, it's, I'm not saying that the world is static, I guess. I guess just in the pursuit of your goals and, whatever, in the pursuit of whatever you're trying to do, you can either work with the universe or, flow with the current of life in the universe or, try to swim upstream, I guess. And for me personally, and from listening to other people talk about, their lives and experiences, it definitely, just moving with the current, going with the flow. And sometimes that requires letting go of attachment to certain outcomes or ideas. But in the end, it's like you might realize that your attachments are what's holding you back. And you might be attached to, you want something to, I don't know, you want to end up successful at a certain thing or whatever, and you're dead set on something ending up a certain way or whatever. That could, you without even realizing it, you might be, I guess what I'm trying to say is like hurting your own success by focusing on success happening in one specific way, because maybe what's going to happen is even, bigger than what you could have imagined. So trust the process, I guess, is a good way to simplify everything that I'm saying right now. Just trust the process of the universe. And if you feel like you're showing up every day and, nothing's happening, I guess just look for signs from the universe. Look for the constant signs, big signs, little signs. We're always getting signs and signals from the universe, and I feel like they can show up when you need them the most. Sometimes you just have to be open to them. You have to be receptive to them. In Taoism, I believe Wu Wei is effortless action. And that's also, non-doing. The way never acts, yet nothing is left undone. Again, paradoxical, How do you get to where you want to go? You don't force it. You just let it happen naturally, I guess. That's how it's supposed to happen, I guess. Non-doing, doing nothing. can sound like laziness or apathy, but it's not. It means following the Tao. Going with the flow, moving with the groove, continuing to move with the groove. Well, one of the positive vibrational, I don't know how to categorize it, I guess. I guess just one of the more positive things I've been trying to focus on or incorporate into my life or just stay more consistent with it is just focusing on my health, my physical health, going to the gym, exercising regularly, and taking care of my body. I just feel, I don't know, I like how I feel when I go to the gym. I feel a lot better. I feel more clear. And as human beings, we evolved doing heavy, hunter-gatherers. We were roaming. We were out trying to survive. And then in our modern world, especially if you have like a desk job or whatever, you're sitting down for most of your day or whatever. Exercise is just so crucial and important. And I guess tying exercise into all this, a lot of people can kind of get into it for like egocentric pursuits, I guess. But there's another quote I really like from Sadhguru, where he said, even if you do the right thing for the wrong reasons, good things will still happen. So yeah, it's like, whatever your reasons are for going to the gym or taking care of your health or taking care of your body, they don't matter. As long as you do it. It's good for you. But I love it. I've been in the gym consistently recently, and I feel freaking great. So just go for a run, lift some weights, get outside, get some sun on your skin, get some vitamin D in your system. You'll feel a lot better. Trust me. I've been getting a lot of, there's this bodybuilder, John Brown, who I first saw, I think I was watching Hard Knocks or whatever, and then he's Amon-Ra St. Brown's father, but he was like a 2-time Mr. Universe, I think. John Brown. He's a very underrated bodybuilder. On the Hard Knocks thing, though, he just said something. He was like, you'll notice none of my boys are on their phones in the gym or whatever. They're focused on their workout. They're locked in. So that stuck with me because I was like, all right, no more dicking around on my phone in the gym. But really, it was more just like, when you're in the gym, your focus is be solely, I guess really you can apply this to exercise, but you can really apply this to anything. It's like whatever you're working on, whatever goal you're trying to achieve or whatever, give that 100% of your attention. When you're in the gym and it's time to exercise, focus on exercise. Try not to let, I guess that's like your mind, even if you get to the gym, your mind is always looking for, we don't need to lift that much. We can always, we don't need to go that hard or whatever. Your mind is always looking to, the mind seeks comfort. It's always looking for comfort. It doesn't like stress, and it's not looking to be pushed. And distracting yourself when you're supposed to be, focused on a certain task, 100%, that's the mind seeking comfort. I don't know. So just hearing him say that really stuck with me for some reason. I was like, all right, no more bullshit in the gym and on other things as well. Just whatever task you're doing, solely focused on that one task. That's how you'll get the most out of it. But the funny thing about exercise and going to the gym, and I guess you can also apply this to doing other things or whatever, just other big goals, the more, the stronger the resistance before, the better you feel when it's done, which is the strangest thing. But I have 100, like with the gym, 100%. I was like, on a day where I was like, man, I just don't want to go. I just want to lie down and do nothing. But on a day when you're like, some days it's easy. Some days you want to go, and you go back, you feel good. But on a day where you like your mind is like fighting with you to be like, no, just lie down. Just don't. Just be lazy. Just sit around and do nothing. When you fight through that, come back, for me, that's when I noticed, I was like, I feel incredible. I was like, why is my mind telling me to not go to the gym? I feel so good right now. Yeah, your mind will play tricks on you, I guess, in that sense. It's all perception. It's all in your mind. You perceive with your mind, to quote the Gorillas. But yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, just staying solely focused on one thing, and then fighting through that resistance, getting whatever done you need to get done, and then you can enjoy relaxing, Then it's like, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes if you let the resistance win, it's like in your mind, it's so strange. There'll be like a part of you that's like, you got to go to the gym. And then there's another part of you that's like, maybe not. And then if you let that part win, it's like the part of you that's like, why aren't there's still things we got to do or whatever. So I don't know. That's at least how my mind works, I guess. But yeah, it's just always, it's just it's very interesting how the mind is always seeking comfort. Your mind is always seeking comfort, and building that muscle of, not the literal muscle of going to the gym, but that's also helpful. It can be helpful to be stronger, but building that muscle of, I don't want to do this, but it's time to do this. I guess just discipline, right? Or committing to doing something that you don't want to do, even if it's something that you do want to do, even I don't know, just the resistance before doing something, I guess. I've heard Joe Rogan talk about Steven Pressfield and the war of art, and he talks about, like, with I guess in the context of creative pursuits, but you could apply this to other things as well. He's like, there's a muse or whatever, there's some sort of muse or entity or whatever, some sort of creative spirit that you're engaging with when you're doing the work. But I don't know, just fighting through that resistance to get to that point, and just doing the work. I guess just being a professional, just showing up and doing the work and getting it done. But it's just fighting through that that constant desire for comfort. And it definitely, it's like a muscle. It's like a thing, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And then if you start to slack off, it'll be more challenging. But it's also, I'm a big believer in muscle memory or whatever. I think that's a real thing, right? Where if you go to the gym, you lose some muscle, it's easier to build it back up if you've already done it. So it's, a similar concept, I guess, applies, where it's like, if you're working on, you'll never get to a point where it's like you're always just like 100%, gung-ho, ready to do everything, I guess, hyper disciplined, but it's just realizing like that this is like it gets easier, I guess, and that's really the the goal isn't to get to a point where you have no resistance. It's to get to a point where it's like you just very easily, can fight through it, I guess. And that's really that's where you're trying to get to. Because if you're trying to get to a place where there's never any resistance for whatever you're trying to do, whether it be, go to the gym, write something, be creative or whatever, follow your passion. That resistance is always going to be there, but it gets easier with doing it more and more. Just like with anything, just like with gaining any skill or learning anything or trying to get better at anything. There we go. But yeah, so there we go. That's just the gym, the benefits of the health benefits of going to the gym are just, why doesn't everyone do it? If exercise was a pill, everyone would be on it. Everyone. Just the way you feel afterwards. And, there's struggle before, but as the Buddha says, life is suffering. And then I guess I kind of like the idea of the more voluntary suffering or struggle you submit yourself to when, things get real, it can be more manageable or easier. You can, you can say, okay, maybe whatever situation is happening to me right now hasn't exactly happened before, but I have a few more tools in my tool belt or whatever, a few more strategies or way to, recognize what's going on or what's happening, I guess. And we're back after a brief interruption. Sorry about that, but we're back. We're back. Some time has passed. Maybe you can tell, maybe you can't. I'm wearing the same sweatshirt for continuity, though. So there we go. Some time has passed since I was last recording this episode. The big thing that happened in the intermediary period or whatever in between my last recording session and this session, the bass player for one of my favorite bands of all time died, Phil Lesh, founding member of the Grateful Dead. He actually died on the day I was recording, died on the morning of the day I was initially recording this, so when I paused, that's when I found out that he had died. This year I've had a lot of confrontations with death. I don't know. I'm not really confronting death. I guess I am? I don't know. Not me personally, but I'm still here. Just a lot of people I admire. Family, People get old. And we don't live forever. At least not on this plane of existence. But yeah, whenever someone dies, sometimes you will make you think, what is death? What happens? Really the big thought that I had after hearing of Phil's passing and how it made me reflect on death and think about death is the weight of every decision you'll ever make in your life. You only get one today, and every decision you make today, that's it. There's no do-over. There's no, oh, give me a try again. Nope. For whatever day it is, every decision you make, that's the decision you make. That's the decision you have made. Better make some good frickin' decisions. And it's like the good decisions you make compound on themselves, just like the bad ones do. And in this life, there are different paths that you can choose to go down. So pick the one that is right for you. Pick the path that resonates with you the most. And go down the path that speaks to you, or you feel is calling you to you, or calling you to your higher purpose or destiny. I've thought this was a quote from a famous actor. Every time I Google it, no one comes up. So it's like, I don't want to take credit for this because I don't feel... I definitely didn't say this first. But the expression I like is, we each have a role to play. And I kind of... my Mandela effect was like, I heard it on a podcast being like, Marlon Brando was like, everyone has a unique role or whatever. I don't even know how every time I look this up and like Marlon Brando, nothing. Maybe this did. Maybe he did say something. Maybe someone can fact check me on this. Maybe someone else said that. I have no idea. But we each have a role to play. And I like that because it's kind of like an, I don't know, actor metaphor, right? When you're an actor, you become another person. You become the character. You're playing a character. You're playing a role. Each one of us, we are spiritual beings. We are all spiritually connected, fundamentally. We are all one. I was kind of saying this earlier in the episode, I'm pretty sure. We are all one, and we're all unique manifestations of the universe. And within each of us, I do personally, I don't know, like, do I believe in destiny? I don't know. Because do things have to end up a certain way? I don't think they do. But I kind of like the idea of determinism, where the natural setup of circumstances or whatever can lead to a specific outcome that can feel like destiny or some sort of cosmic force is putting its finger on the scale, but really it's just the natural... it's what would happen if you did said sequence of events. This is the natural outcome of said sequence of events, if you can understand what I'm saying. I can hardly understand what the hell I'm saying. I hope I'm explaining. Let me just... determinism. I'll just read the definition here from the Google AI. Determinism is the philosophical and scientific theory that all events in the universe are caused by previous events and are therefore inevitable. So, coming back to more of like grand worldview and world and life philosophy, thoughts or whatever. Albert Hoffman, the inventor of LSD, said that when he was a child, one of the things that made him, like one of the, after the fact, in hindsight, he's like, why did I become a chemist? Why did I, how did this happen? Or whatever. And he said, I had some mystical experiences as a child, I think just in like nature. I believe that's what he said. With no influence of psychedelics or any drugs or whatever. And that made him fascinated in the natural world, and then he wanted to be a chemist. So, I mean, again, it's like, I don't know, was Albert Hoffman destined to have those experiences? Was it meant to happen? Or was he just a person who was given the set of characteristics or character traits or whatever that would be open to that sort of interpretation of the world, and then go out and act on it? So, I don't know. It's determinism and, fate, I guess, are, in a way, you could perceive them to be interconnected, as all things are. You're kind of getting into we're straying into the category of, is there free will? And that's what is staring at me on the screen right now with determinism. Determinism is often contrasted with free will, the idea that people have the ability to make decisions independently of any previous events. This is kind of how I perceive it to be, because it's the Nick Moore Show, and I'm Nick Moore. This is my perception of the world. Like I was saying earlier, you have a path. You have a role to play. You have a role. We each have a set of skills. We are each given a set of characteristics that naturally make us more inclined or suited for certain tasks or things or whatever. Take LeBron James, for example. He's a his physical body is what allows him, or one of the things, not to take, not to say it's only his, genes, genetics, whatever, that makes him who he is. There's a lot more that goes into a person than just your physical body, obviously. But his physical body allowed his potential as an athlete to be much higher than mine ever would be. So, who knows, man? Maybe I just didn't believe enough, man. I could have been LeBron James. I'm a 5'9" gringo. Hey, yo. I'm every NBA scout's dream right here. I do feel that in some way we are each given a certain skill set or whatever. I don't know if skill set's the right phraseology I'm looking for. Character traits, personality, I don't know. On some level, you're meant to excel at a certain thing, in my mind. And the strange thing to me, at least, is that it feels like that thing, whatever the thing that thing kind of like speaks to you, I guess, in a sense, or it's like talking to you. Like for me personally, with wanting to, why do I do this? Why do I do this? Well, why do I do this? Because I can't think of anything better to do. Why do I do this? Because I've always wanted, I don't know. At a certain point, I hit a certain age, and I was like, I'd like to try. I don't know. When I was younger, I was very caught up in society, in America, in mainstream society, and how do you be successful? How do you make a lot of money? And then people usually tell you lawyer, doctor, engineer. So that was like, okay, That was what I thought was my path in the beginning. Then I started to get older and realize, like, I'm not that person. I'm fascinated by the sciences and natural world and reality and medicine and all of those things. And really, though, I don't know, learning about how society really functions. I don't know, you kind of get this idea like society programs into your brain, do whatever you want for work. You can do no harm as long as you're working and contributing to the GDP of America or whatever. But I don't know, I live in a state where there's a lot of defense contractors and a lot of people work for like Raytheon or Boeing or whatever. Raytheon is the big company in my state. And I always kind of debated, like, morally, like, it's like you're making guns and bombs and, literal, I don't know, you're just amplifying to the death and misery in the world. And that is a conscious choice. Like, you can be an engineer working for them. You can be an engineer working for, anyone else. And some people don't have, it's like some people, the situation they come from and, where they were raised or whatever, it's like you got to provide for yourself. You got to find a job and work somewhere. And sometimes, they're the only people who are hiring or whatever. But after that kind of realization personally, I said to myself, okay, if I want to be quote unquote successful in society, and that can mean many different things to many different people, I'd rather have it be through positivity instead of through negativity. One of the things that drew me to one of the things that drew me to comedy. And again, like kind of like I was saying, certain things will speak to you or whatever. When I remember being young, seeing Robin Williams do stand-up and like being like, ooh, that would be fun. Make all those people laugh. I always saw, and still, I see him do comedy. I was watching him on The Tonight Show the other day on YouTube, just some old clips or whatever, just to watch some game tape. But his style of comedy is so different from mine. I'm more of like the stream of consciousness talk, I'm going to say so many good comedians, and this is going to just sound bonkers. I'm not saying I'm as good as these people, but I model my game after them. Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle. Robin Williams was he was a one of one because he was just so, he was himself. He was Robin Williams. He was one of one, like I just said. But he was also very high energy on stage. Very like always just firing on all cylinders constantly, it seems like. And I remember watching that and being like, oh, I could never do that. Like I'm not that as a performer. And that kind of made me, be like, oh, maybe this, I'm not cut out for entertainment or show business or stand-up comedy. But Robin Williams is not Stephen Wright, and Stephen Wright is not Robin Williams. And comedy is very, very different. But basically, to bring this all around back to what I was saying earlier, I'm getting off on a different tangent, is that, you want to be a lawyer or, being a doctor is a noble. Again, there's also another quote that I really like about all of those jobs versus the job field that I'm doing, the arts, entertainment. And it's a little grandiose for someone who's in the entertainment industry. I think it goes something like this. It's like lawyer, doctor, engineer, all of those jobs are noble professions and they keep society functioning, which is 100% correct, and they are necessary. But the arts is, that's why you get up. That's what gives you the reason to keep going, keep moving forward. And that's also something that resonated with me too, was whenever I was feeling depressed, sad, disconnected from my fellow human beings, I would rely on stand-up. I would go to a comedy or whatever, make me feel better, you know? So I guess also that's why I do this. If on some level I could provide any sort of knowledge, value, whatever, laughter, I don't give a fuck. Laugh at me. I don't care. I really don't. If it brings you value, then I've served my purpose. And with that, I'm going to wrap this episode up right there. Feels like a good spot. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this journey. The Nick Moore Show podcast. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. If you want, support the show. Subscribing is completely free. It is probably, honestly, the biggest way to help support in the YouTube algorithm. The show is now also on all major streaming platforms. Check out The Nick Moore Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, right here on YouTube, if that's where you're watching this. Yes, The Nick Moore Show, we've transcended YouTube now. We're on all major platforms. But yeah, thank you for listening to me ramble on this one. Thanks for your time. Rest in peace, Phil Lesh. This is all a dream we dream one afternoon long ago. There we go. So yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good one. Peace.